Hello, folks. I'm Jonny McFarlane here on the Rangers Review. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're going to have a pretty large audience, I'm expecting today, because today, Friday, the 30th of May, I've already messed that up, Chris, that's a good start, is a momentous day, despite my mistakes, for Rangers, because it is the day that the announcement has come down that the Rangers takeover has finally been completed. The club is now in the hands of Andrew Kavanagh and his consortium, alongside the 49er Enterprises, with Andrew Kavanagh as the chairman and Parag Marathi as the vice chairman. It's been an incredible period, Chris, ever since this story broke. There has been so much excitement, conjecture, and so much for us to keep on top of. Now that we're finally here, you've been talking to sources at the club, you've been talking to the people that you know regarding what has actually happened here. Chris, what can you tell us?
It's been a busy morning. I think that's the first thing we can say. I think we knew that this was in the offing. It has been discussed and been commuted over the last couple of days that this was getting ever closer. But the deal itself was only actually signed off late last night. Rangers got the required approvals and paperwork through from the Scottish FA, and at that stage, the final deals can be done. And Rangers have also announced this news in the last half hour or so. Apologies to everyone for being slightly late, but it has been busy. And if you head across to the website, you will see a Q&A that we pulled together, covering all the main points of how this deal is structured, what the board will look like, the initial investment that's coming, and a number of other issues. So it's going to be one of these days where there's going to be so much said, so much written, so much video content, but hopefully people will enjoy what we've not just put out today, what we've got to come on the main players in this deal, and also how we've covered this story. It's been a story that's dominated all of our lives over the last few months. And like we see in the comments, like we see from social media, Rangers fans, they're just delighted that this deal has been done. And for us, it's a really exciting time. Now there's a lot for us to get into. It's the dawn of a new era at Ibrox. And it's been interesting. It's been busy so far. Something tells me it's only going to get even more interesting and even busier over the weeks and months to come.
Indeed. It's been a fascinating period. I'll tell you, it was a difficult one for me and Stevie this morning, getting badgered in the comments about what's happening. Is it happening today? And us just saying it's imminent. It's imminent. So I'm glad it's over the line. Put it that way. We don't have to forever sort of deal in conjecture about when exactly this was going to happen. But as we've been saying for quite a long time, it was just a matter of time. These are owners that are really serious players, and I think we're going to see some serious action from Rangers. And I suppose part of that, top line, amidst the news that's coming out, Chris, and let's kind of go into this first of all, because there's been an open letter that's been written. I'm just going to read it out, or the key parts of it out. Dear Rangers supporters, this is, by the way, from Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Marathi. We are proud to be entering a new chapter for this extraordinary club. This moment is the result of months of thoughtful discussions with club leadership and our shared confidence in Rangers' success. To that end, we'd like to tell you a bit about our thinking. Simply put, our goal is to win trophies in Scotland and be able to compete at a high level in Europe, while laying a foundation of financial sustainability for the future. As our first step, we're investing fresh capital into Rangers, which will strategically be deployed on and off the pitch. While we recognise the importance of resources, we believe that thoughtful, disciplined investment, guided by a clear strategy, is the path to enduring success. Every decision, whether sporting or business, will be made with the club's long-term success and sustainability in mind. They move on to talk a little bit about the priority of the man's head coach. So we aim to leverage the full strength of 49ers Enterprises with their sporting expertise and operational experience, and are confident in Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell to lead the next phase. Our first priority together is clear: hiring a new men's head coach. That process is already well underway, and we look forward to sharing more updates soon, we'll also look to invest in talent for our teams. Now, so brass tacks, Chris, we know what this game is all about, and one thing drives these fans more than any other. We know it. We see it in the data. We see it when we look at our numbers on and compare one type of story to another. That a big part of that is about transfers. A big part of it is about the strength of this Rangers team going forward. What have you heard about the kind of investment? They're talking an instant investment. What have you heard about this?
As you say, the main number, the main headline that people will take away from this announcement will be that 20 million initial investment. People at the club saying this morning that a lot of that, the majority of that, is going to be earmarked for the squad. Though we know that this squad requires a significant remodel and significant rebuild. We've spoke about that even long before the end of the season. We were speaking about that. That's not to say that is all of the transfer budget. You've obviously got player sales that could potentially come into that as well. And Rangers or the fans will certainly look at the net spend. But I think that 20 million it's a signal of the intentions. That's not going to be the only money that it's going to put into this club over the term of this new era. Interestingly, that 20 million will be put in through a share issue that will be signed off at a general meeting in mid-June, I think June 23rd, for that general meeting, and that will be the first, perhaps for the first time that Rangers fans will hear their new board speak. The plans for how that will work and how it will look are still being formulated, but that's the first kind of sign of the seriousness of these investors. They're not playing at this. They are not here just for a blazer and for a shirt and tie. They're here for the right reasons. They're here to be successful. You have seen that with the way that the 49ers operate, seen that the way that they have that influence in Leeds United. They are here for the long term. They are here to put proper money into Rangers, and as Andrew Kavanagh says in his statement, to take them back to the top of the game, both domestically and to continue to have success in Europe as well. I think the other key thing to come out of that statement, other kind of headline news, Andrew Kavanagh as chairman and Parag Marat as vice chairman. Again, if you're looking for how serious the 49ers enterprises are in here, the fact that Marat is taking up such a senior role on that board, I think speaks volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's kind of touch on that a little bit, because there is, or there has been a change in the key players on this board. Out go three of the old guards, and in come three newcomers who we don't particularly know an awful lot about. So exiting is Graham Park, Julian Waldhart, and former chairman Alistair Johnson, who's been quite a vocal figure over the last 10 or 15 years and people know well. And they'll be replaced by Mark Tabor, Andrew Clayton, and Jean Schnur. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. Probably not. Derek will be wincing if he's watching this back. But regardless, these are three guys with a depth of business expertise. Mark Tabor is managing director at a growth equity firm in Boston, specialises in healthcare investments. Andrew Clayton is heavily involved in the company that is run by Andrew Kavanagh. And Schnur is a board member and co-owner of Leeds United. He has been involved as a managing director of a real estate firm. So I think you can expect him to be a guy who knows a little bit about sweating your assets, sweating your physical assets. But this is just speculation at this point, Chris, unless you've heard anything about stadium expansion.
Not to put it in such a blunt term, I think we will see work undertaken at the stadium. It will be part of their longer term plan. The first priority, the key priority, is to sort the pitch, is to sort what happens on that pitch, to sort this team because you can have as big a stadium and as nice a stadium as you like, unless there's a successful side on the pitch. That's all that Rangers fans care about. No, they want to see a team that's not just competing for silverware, but winning silverware. That is a chance to be a dominant force, not winning one league title in X number of years or winning one cup every number of years, as has been the case. Rangers need to be a successful football side on the pitch. That's the priority. That's what they will focus on first. But don't be surprised if longer term there will be getting more work done and around and to Ibrox. Again, that's a point that we address in the Q&A that we've got on the site.
Yeah, a couple of comments now. Chris Smith says the Grim Reaper was missing this morning, so we just knew it was good news. Chris, it was quite funny, the amount of people demanding to know your whereabouts, your exact whereabouts, your coordinates, in fact, to make sure that there was to see if there was any kind of wee tidbits they could pick up from that. Stevie and myself were just bastions of professionalism and didn't even mention you. We just strode on past it, but you were getting lots of mentions in the comments this morning. And listen, if a lot of you are out there thinking you're having a fantastic day, very excited about what's happening, you ain't got nothing on Dams, who has went for his first 12-week scan for his first child to find out he's actually having twins, as well as this Rangers announcement. So congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Dans. That's going to be an interesting one for you. I wish you luck. Having a 3-year-old at the moment who is fantastic but drives me mad, and Chris has also got a young toddler. You're going to have a lot of work on your plate, pal. Your life is going to change. Of that, there's no doubt. In terms of the new manager, they say it's going to be their number one priority now, Chris. First of all, I just wondered what you thought of the link that emerged last night with Francesco Farioli.
Another name to add into this particular conversation. A long running conversation, it has to be said, but I think it makes sense that the takeover has been done, and that's the first piece of the jigsaw. I don't think it's always been kind of laid out that way. I think right at the start of the process, it wasn't necessarily a case of this has to be done, and then that's done, then that's done, then that's done. But it is all kind of falling into place in that way. So takeover obviously announced today. Kevin Thelwell officially starts business on the 1st of June, and I think you'll see a Rangers manager not long after that. Now, people at the club this morning saying there's nothing imminent in terms of a manager being announced today just to complete the dream double. But I think that's clearly the focus. That's the deal that they have to try and get over the line. We also had it on the site yesterday evening that Stephen Gerrard is no longer part of that particular process, having been spoken to and sounded out quite early in that process. Farioli is an interesting one. I think there was a lot of social media chat about him a while ago, and then he died down a wee bit. It's obviously back on the back of that story in the Herald last night. We've also reported quite extensively on Ancelotti and his particular stance. We know that he is very, very keen on this job. We know he is not quite standing by his phone, but him and his representatives, they are just looking for an answer, and they believe that Rangers is the right club for them. And given the takeover news, that's only going to raise the excitement. It's only going to raise expectations. It doesn't change the timescales. Now, Rangers still have a lot of work to do in a fairly short space of time, but I think this will give the support a real shot in the arm. We see it on the comments, we see it on our socials. There's such a huge kind of buy-in for this takeover story, as there has been right throughout. And the new manager now knows exactly what he is walking into. Yeah,
it is the right way to do it, isn't it? It's something that Rangers have done in the past. I remember they said they were going to move to a director of football setup when Pedro Caixinha was announced as manager, and they announced the manager, and then they announced Mark Allen as director of football. And I remember saying at the time, really not following the correct roadmap there. It should have been the other way around. And I think perhaps what we're seeing here, as you say, Chris, is it's director of football comes in, Thelwell, and he will be able to sit down with whatever manager is appointed and stand up and face the scrutiny and the media with regards to that appointment, and kind of take on the leadership role from the front of the football department that he is going to have over the coming years. So do you think now we're talking early next week, midweek? I know that I'm probably putting you in a bad situation, because no matter what you say, you are going to get, well, Chris Jack said, but I suppose from my point of view, Chris, and from the point of view of many people watching this, it's not really about predicting the time. It's just you look at the date and you look at those key dates that you outlined in your piece earlier on in the week about when Rangers pre-season dates are and what's upcoming in terms of Champions League qualification. There's not an awful lot of time left. You know, it has to be next week, really, doesn't it? And if it's not, major questions are going to be asked.
I think that's what's known as a hospital pass, is it not? With throwing that one my way. No, I think it's obvious now. Rangers, they have to really step up this process. It has been ongoing for quite some time. As I outlined there, Kevin Thelwell doesn't officially start until the 1st of June, but he has been involved in this process. Patrick Stewart obviously involved, and Greta Steinson of the 49ers involved as well. Interestingly, he will not assume like an official role under this new organisational structure, but he will obviously still have a big part to play. He will have his place in that particular pyramid. So the managerial situation, it's the next big thing. It's quite ironic. Quite good timing from a Joshua Barry perspective that both of these stories have broken while he's currently sunning himself on his holidays. But I think it makes sense. They had to get the takeover done. They had to get the manager in. Part one of that is done, and I think we will see, certainly in the coming days, we will see a bit of movement on the manager. And as always, we will endeavour to bring you that news here first if we can.
Yeah, we question there from John C. Turner. Is Fraser Thornton away then? He's not, actually. He's no longer going to be the chairman, John, but he will remain on the board alongside John Halstead, who's obviously also remaining, and George Taylor. They're going nowhere and remain on that Rangers board. So that gives it, I think, a little bit of continuity, Chris. These guys on there that understand the club, that are fans, in the case of George Taylor, and can help advise in that capacity as well, and sort of maintain that pillar of an understanding of the club. Now, I'm sure that Kavanagh and Marathi have done a lot of homework over the last wee while. Of that, there'll be no doubt. These are smart guys, but sometimes having someone there that's got real long-term connection and understands the country, the culture, and the club in an intrinsic way, it'll be a real benefit.
It will be. You can't just throw everything out and completely rip it up and start again. So I think there was a realisation that Rangers required not just fresh investment, but fresh ideas and new voices and new ideas round about that boardroom table. They've got that now, but it's important, as you say, that they do have that continuity. So Fraser Thornton will not be chairman anymore, but if you look at where these guys are going to be based, he is really your man on the ground. He's the guy who will be tasked going out and building relationships, the likes of the SFA, SPFL, any political circles that Rangers look to try and move in as well. So he will still have an important role to play. Patrick Stewart obviously remains as chief exec. He will be the man clearly leading the executive team to go and implement the strategy and the blueprint that the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh have. And interestingly, I see a couple of people mention like Douglas Park and other former investors. So as part of the deal, Dave King and John Bennett have sold off the entire shareholding. Other investors like Douglas Park, George Taylor, as you mentioned, and Stuart Gibson, they will remain as shareholders. They could continue to invest if required, and they will each hold more than 5% stakes. So obviously King and Bennett, their sales took the consortium to a certain level, and the other shares required to get them to the 51% that they wanted. That has been done by buying up percentages of the other investors and other shareholders. But say Park, Taylor and Gibson will continue to hold more than 5%. We don't know the breakdown of shares within the consortium. That information has not been forthcoming. We may well have to wait until our updated share register is released to find that out, if they do indeed put that out. But that's not been released as yet.
Yeah, just for clarity on that, Chris, because we are getting a lot of people asking about the park. So the park's still there. So Douglas Park was not on the Rangers board. It was Graham Park was there as a sort of representative of the park shareholding. Graham Park has left the board now, but they will maintain a shareholding. We don't know how much, but probably alongside the other shareholders, it's been somewhat diluted. But we can't even confirm that. We know that some shareholders have definitely done that.
Well, Douglas, as far as we're aware, Douglas's shareholding has been diluted. But as I've said there, it will be alongside Gibson and Taylor. It will be above that 5% mark. But as you say there, Graham is no longer on the board. He's one of the guys who have stepped down from the board. So I know that the Parks have been a bit of a lightning rod for the support over the last few seasons. I've actually got a piece on the site tomorrow looking at the kind of legacy of this board and this regime. Now we're 10 years on from change in March 2015. So I've got a piece looking at that 10 years. How you digest 10 years into 1,800 words, it takes a bit of doing, but the Park's influence and the influence of a lot of the guys that have been involved over the years is either now completely removed in the case of King and Bennett, or significantly reduced. So I say Douglas will continue to hold his shareholding, but it's very, very clear with these changes, with a new chairman, the new vice chairman, the new directors coming on board, you don't have to think too hard and look too far between the lines to realise where the power now lies. It's very much in the Americans' hand.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting a lot of messages for you, Chris. Ian McPhee saying, well done to Chris Jack, a proper Rangers man and a man in the know. Another one saying, there's a few other messages in there, Chris. Some of them slightly less. No, I'm only kidding you. There's others there. I'm not going to embarrass you by reading them out.
Is there ones that are not quite as complimentary?
No. They're all very, very complimentary. Absolutely, they're all very, very complimentary. So, in terms of the overall kind of feeling, Chris, walking away now, this is the last question. I don't want to keep you for too long. We've more ability to sort of go into detail on this in the days and weeks ahead. Do you get a sense that this really is an historical day for not just the club, but for Scottish football, that we're about to see something fairly major, and that we're at the point of perhaps the full recovery of this club after all the pain and suffering that it's gone through since the disaster of 2012, the horrors of 2012, that you can look back now and say, this is the club really finally about to go and take forward its potential. Before we get into that, I have just spotted this one from Alan, just to remind him that his cheque will be in the post. But of course, I do this for the love of the game, not for the money involved. I think it's easy to perhaps get involved in the kind of headlines and get caught up in the emotion and the excitement overall. But you can't fail to recognise the huge potential that this has for Rangers. I've said it at various points since the story broke and since we started reporting on it, and all the various aspects that we've delved into. Said consistently throughout it, yes, the money is important, so you can't underestimate that 20 million initial investment and the further investments that will be to come. But for me, it's the people, it's the processes, it's the ideas, it's being able to tap into that 49ers expertise and that best practice. That's where the real potential for growth is for Rangers. You're looking at new ideas and new ways of working in commercial and ticketing and marketing and sports science and so many different areas. So yeah, you need to have the right manager, you need to have the right players, you need to have the right director of football or a sporting director in place. But it's what else can
this consortium bring to the table. So in that piece that's on the site tomorrow morning that I mentioned, I think you have to give this board, or the former board as they are now, and former iterations of that board, they've put a lot of money into this football club. Since March 2015, the bill that these guys have racked up is huge. Yes, it's not always been spent properly. Yes, it's not always been spent wisely. Yes, big mistakes have been made in terms of recruitment and in managers and in fan relations and so many other ways. It's not been perfect. It's been a lot better than it could have been. When you think back to where Rangers were pre that general meeting in 2015, what could have followed, there's not bear thinking about for the Rangers fans. What could follow now, it's just given them such a boost. It's given them such a level of excitement. So I think there's always two parts to a story and to a deal like this. I think it's only fair that the Rangers fans acknowledge what has been over the 10 years, been a real rebuilding phase, if a lot of it. But you then look ahead to what could come next, and that's the exciting part for if the fans to go and watch, to go and support, and that's the exciting part for us to report on.
Yeah. World Greatest DJ says, I remember the day Souness was announced on the evening news. Today feels like another historic moment for Glasgow Rangers. Certainly sentiments I think a lot of people will be agreeing with and feeling this afternoon and this evening. Listen, guys, we're going to call it a day there. Thanks for Chris coming on once again. I know you missed this morning, so wanted to come on and make sure that we updated you with all the detail as we have it. Of course, the best way to get that detail is on the Rangers Review website. It's £1 for 6 months. That's going to be a very, very good value pound. I think you can get the app. It's the best way to watch and look and read it and read the site. That you get that on the your any major app store, and once you get your logins from the website, you just go on there. And it's a fantastic way. It's the best way to read your Rangers news. Chris has got story after story after story. As he said earlier on, there's a very, very interesting long read tomorrow, looking back at the last 10 years, as well as all the stuff from today, all the latest information from Chris as to how this takeover has come about and what this news means for the club going forward. Until next time, guys, thanks for listening.